So today I'm here at Historic Mitchellville Freedom Park, which is where freedom began in the United States back in 1862, 3 years before the Emancipation Proclamation. And what's important about this space is that it is also around the time where the Mitchellville residents were living here that they were establishing themselves as landowners. Each one got a portion of land that they could live on and farm and become independent citizens. A lot of people were given land but encouraged to pass that land down. And so between a lot of the history that went into the South, Jim Crow laws, and racism and a lot of different issues, people were really afraid to get a will, to get the proper paperwork that they would need in order to pass that land down. And so therein lies the foundation of heirs property issues. So over time, you had families who would have a piece of land that they either purchased or was given to them. Some enslavers did give land, but the majority of them purchased their land, and they would create what we now call family compounds, where individuals would, say the parents would take a piece of that property and give it to their oldest son, their oldest daughter, and so on and so on. And so that's why today when you drive around a lot of the Lowcountry, you find family compounds where there are several houses closely knit together. Unfortunately, a lot of people do not have the documentation for the property. And so a lot of the original owners, which could date back to the Civil War, might still be on the title or the deed of that property. And because those people did not properly pass the property down through a will or some kind of indication, by today, a lot of properties have, if not several, maybe hundreds of heirs that are all entitled to a percentage of the land that was originally purchased. And so let's say it was 100 acres. That 100 acres might have 100 heirs. It might have 200 heirs. It might have 1,000 heirs. And because that property has so many people who are responsible for it and are entitled to a percentage of it, think about it. You go to a family reunion today, it's hard to get 5 people to decide what we're going to have for dinner. Forget about 100 people trying to decide what we're going to do with this property. And therein lies the problems that go with heirs property. In addition to heirs property, a lot of families are struggling with the development that's around them, the new house that might be next door, and if their taxes for the last generation, let's say, was just a couple of $100s, if there's new development, if someone passes away, those taxes may raise to several $1,000s. And so that's another problem that people are experiencing and facing in trying to hold on to their land. Unfortunately, a lot of families are losing their land because of the rising taxes, because of development, because of the fact that they may have been there and the percentage of the taxes that they're paying has not been grandfathered in. So if someone passes away, that automatic adjustment from the county comes in and people are forced to pay higher amounts. And unfortunately, if you don't have the $400 that it used to be, you're definitely not going to have the $2,000 that it is now. And so it has become a significant problem. One of the things that has been going on for generations is that on Hilton Head, there's a Native Island leadership organization that has been involved in all of the different aspects of Gullah life on Hilton Head. And quietly, people within the group have been reaching out to pay and assist other property owners so that they would be able to hold on to their land. That's where the Lowcountry Gullah Foundation was essentially born out of the work that the Native Island leadership has been doing in assisting other families. We've been able to assist families that are struggling with trying to pay their taxes because the area has such a rich history and culture that we want to be able to help protect those families and enable them to stay where they've been for hundreds of years. And so it's very important to give the kind of tools that people need, whether they're dealing with heirs property issues or if they're dealing with trying to hold on to their property through tax payments. That's what the nonprofit does. Because our area is so rich with culture, the land is tied to the people. So if the people go and the land goes, there goes the culture. Part of the work that we do, of course, involves legal assistance. We are not attorneys, but what we do is create a structure so that people can have the hand-holding that they need to go through the process to either help themselves with heirs property issues and or with paying their taxes. When it comes to the legal side, we have created some strategic partnerships with the Center for Heirs Property that has been around for generations and helps with legal assistance, and also the Lowcountry Legal Volunteers. And so it's a perfect triangular organizational chart, so to speak, that we have where we are helping with the assistance and the guidance, because for many years this kind of work was not being done, and there was no place where someone could go to say, this is my situation, where do I go, what do I do? So we're the kind of clearinghouse. So part of our partnership is also with the Heritage Library, and that is very important to the work that we do, because the Heritage Library, they're genealogy based, and so heirs property cannot be resolved unless you know all of the different descendants who are entitled to the piece of that land pie, so to speak. And so the Heritage Library comes in and creates a deck that will ease the process that needs to go to the attorneys. But then when it comes to the legal side of it, we need partners like the Lowcountry Legal Volunteers to step in and provide those kind of services. We help educate people through the workshops that we do on what is heirs property and how to get your estate planning done, and a free will, and trusts, and land uses and economic development. We provide those workshops, but we can't do all of the workshops that we need to do without the assistance of the Lowcountry Legal Volunteers, because they provide that legal support that is so desperately needed by people who have heirs property issues. And with the workshops that we do, like the Wills Clinic, that is what is the first step in breaking the cycle of the non-documentation that a lot of families have. What's perfect about all of the strategic partnerships is that it's all part of that hand-holding that we're able to do. And so the first stop is your genealogy work through the Heritage Library. And of course, through the Lowcountry Legal Volunteers, we need to get that will done and get everybody in the family to get that will done, because if we don't do that, then we're not breaking that cycle of non-documentation. Once it's ready to clear the title, that's where the Center for Heirs Property comes in. So it's a nice seamless connection between all of the organizations that comes together to make sure that people, once they begin the process, can go through the process in a smooth and uncomplicated way. Because heirs property issues is very complex, it's very convoluted, and it is very frustrating, and the fear that people have had over time in trying to resolve this is part of the reason why a lot of people lose their land. And so when the four of us are able to come together and make it a process that people can understand and feel like they are progressing along and have the organization surrounding it to make the resolution come to be, that's why we're here.